Hi, Annette.
Hey,
I think we're live.
awesome.
All right. Hey, everyone out there. I'm Harley Sittner, the owner and founder of Peace Fans here in Seattle, Washington. Super excited to host this event with you today. Peace Out. It's a three-part series we're doing on exploring some of the lesser developed sides of Washington State, as well as, just discovering hidden gems. Another part of the series is around food and beverage. And today I'm super excited to have Annette Pitts from the Cascade Loop with us. And today we're going to spend a half hour taking you on a virtual tour around the Cascade Loop. One of my favorite parts of Washington State. Lots of really amazing. Washington State is so varied, and the Cascade Loop takes you on this really interesting journey. And Annette's just the executive director of Cascade. Well, I'll let Annette introduce herself.
Hi, I am the executive director of the Cascade Loop Association and Foundation. And yeah, we are a national scenic byway, real close to Seattle, and growing in popularity, and lots of really cool stops where you could take your Peace Van.
Thanks, Annette. So before we dive in, I thought maybe take 1 minute and tell us, like, just the Cascade Loop, like, where does it go? Like, visually orient me as best as we can on this forum to, like, what is the Cascade Loop?
Okay, so most of our travelers are going to fly into SeaTac, come to the city, or if you're a Seattleite, obviously you're going to start in that area. You're going to head north on I-5, and the byway starts up in Snohomish County, so that would mean Everett. Right when you get to Everett on I-5, you're going to hang a right, and you're going to head over Stevens Pass. And I'm just going to give you a quick overview of your community.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Over Stevens Pass towards Leavenworth, Wenatchee, Chelan. You're going to head up to Pateros, take a left, head towards the Methow Valley, and you're going to travel through that gorgeous area with Twisp and Winthrop and Mazama, on up to the North Cascades Highway, go through the North Cascades National Park, through the gorgeous Skagit Valley, over to the Deception Pass Bridge onto Whidbey Island, where you'll travel down, ferry off, you'll land in Mukilteo, which is right next to Everett where you started, and you've made a large loop.
Oh my gosh, so much! This is so much fun. I genuinely got like little chills when you were talking about it, because there's so much on the loop. And we're super excited to partner with you, because one of the best ways to travel a loop like this is in one of our Peace Fans rentals. And I don't have many props to show anyone, but we rent classic Volkswagen camper vans and little modern Mercedes pop-up camper vans. So for everyone who's out there, what we're going to do is go on a little virtual tour. We've been doing a lot of virtual stuff this year, but hopefully things really open up in the next month or two, and we can actually do this drive. And it is a great drive to do with social distancing and following the right COVID protocols. But so the first stop, I'm gonna sort of orient you. First, you're gonna come to Seattle to get your Peace Van, your little key here. And you're gonna either be in a classic Volkswagen camper van or a little modern Mercedes pop-up camper van. And you're gonna start in the SoDo neighborhood of Seattle. Very industrial, but lots of hidden gems in SoDo. And we'll probably recommend a few things for you. There's the Macrina Bakery down on First. I just bought my daughter a 6-pack of cinnamon rolls from there, and they're to die for. They have savory stuff as well. They had a corned beef brioche this week for St. Patrick's Day. I know, right? Fantastic. And you can just stock up on all the goodies there. If you need more protein-based stuff, we have a list of 5 or 6 restaurants right by Peace Fans. So you'll be all fueled up, ready to go. And if you need, before you leave the city of Seattle, if you need like final provisions or one more thing to go, there's an outdoor emporium store just a few blocks away. Or if you're from out of town and you really want to see the Seattle flagship REI store, that's only a couple miles, and it is on your way out of town. So Annette, I'll let you take it from here. So you're in your van, you're driving up, windows down, tunes blaring, cruising up I-5. What is the first stop on the Cascade Loop?
Okay, so after you've kind of headed east on Stevens Pass, what I would say you should do is head to the small town of Sultan. which is kind of the anchor for the Sky Valley. And I would stop at their little visitor center if you don't already have your printed copy of your Cascade Loop travel guide. It sounds kind of silly, but it's a really good co-pilot tool or something for you to refer to later. Let's say either you just get a little, you can't decide what you want to do, or if you're not sure of something and you're in a blackout area, which we have in a few spots on the loop, it's nice to have some backup. And those guys are super friendly and they know a lot about the local area and the Cascade Loop. So it's kind of nice to have somebody in person that you can talk to too. So that would be the first place that I'd stop before you go and start doing.
And that printed guide is fantastic.
Thanks.
It really is. Like we've had them in the shop before, and we'll have them here this year for our renters. And they, like print is understated these days. And it's great to have everything on your phone and digital. But to your point with the blackout areas and just being able to unfold the map, and you guys have done a fantastic work on that map. So I encourage everyone to do that.
Thank you.
Hey, let's keep going on our tour.
Okay, so what I would recommend from here, and it's going to depend on obviously what your interests are and what your desire to be in the outdoors is, but I'm going to assume that most people who are renting peace vans want to get out and do some exploring and physically get into it.
Yep.
But I'm going to also make an assumption that not everybody is ready to scale a volcano on that trip. Maybe you are, and we can speak to that, but I'm going to make some suggestions that are probably going to be more conducive to most. And then if folks see this and they have questions about other opportunities, I can definitely help people with that too.
Is there really a volcano on this tour?
Well, very close to it, Mount Baker.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not off the roadway, but it's one of our designated side trips. And if you're somebody mountaineering, Mount Baker is what you do to prep for Rainier. So,
right.
And it's just beautiful and very photogenic.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going.
Okay. So you picked up your guide. I would say one of the stops that people forget about, which is a great way to get out and stretch your legs, is a little hike called Haybrook Lookout. And you can access it from the small town of Index. So when you're driving east, you're going to know where Index is when you see Sasquatch on the right at the Espresso Chalet. Where they filmed the part of Harry and the Hendersons. Obviously, there's a ginormous mountain above it called Mount Index. And you're not going to turn that way unless you're going to get your coffee, which you probably should if you need to. But Index, you're going to access from the left side of the roadway. And you pull down, it'll be pretty obvious. And it's a relatively short hike. It's like 2.5 miles round trip, about, I don't know, I think it's like 800 feet of gain or something like that. But it's to a lookout and it's scenic. It's about as Washingtonian as you get, big, tall trees, mists. It's a great way to stretch the legs and get out for most folks, and not also be a hike that's so lengthy that takes up the majority of your day. It's also going to be one, like the majority of the hikes or the outdoor activities that I'm going to recommend today are going to be probably your lesser known location. Just because I think we all know that we're all eager to get out this year, and there's going to be a lot of people out and about. Right. And we also have to be super cautious about being safe with COVID. So I'm going to be recommending stops like this that are a little less known.
And that was called Haystack?
No.
What was it called?
Haybrook Lookout.
Haybrook Lookout. Got it. I'll write it down.
It's be fun too. If you're wanting something a little bit more than that, a little further is a hike called Barkley Lake that you would access from a very small town called Bering, also on the route. It's about 4.5 miles rather than 2.5. And again, not a lot of gain. It's like 500 feet of gain. So it's something that if you're traveling with kids is going to be also pretty conducive. And you get a lake at the end, which is fun.
Great. So we're in our van. We've had a great hike. We're headed past Index and we're headed up towards Leavenworth. Where do we think we're going to spend our first night? I
would send you, where you would spend the night is I would recommend up in the Icicle Valley, and I'll give you a few different Okanagan Wenatchee National Forest campgrounds that you could access. Before you go set up your camp, though, you're going to want to actually stop in Leavenworth and do some worthiness. You're going to want to go to the cheesemonger and get all the cheeses. You want to go to Cured, get all the cured meats, get the chocolate, go to Icicle Brewery, get a pony keg or a growler, whatever.
Yeah.
Go for camping. Do your stuff in Leavenworth and then head up the Icicle River Valley. There are a lot of campgrounds up in the Icicle River Valley that you're going to be able to access.
And can we back up? Will they fill growlers there for us at the brewery?
Oh, I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah.
Great. Because for those of you listening that are going to rent a van, we can supply you with an empty growler to fill up at local breweries along the way. So awesome. Yeah.
And Leavenworth, just if you're a little cautious because Leavenworth can be super busy and you're like, oh, COVID, totally understandable. But I will say I'm super impressed with what that community has done. They've fully closed down Front Street to drive-through traffic. They've got outdoor dining. They've gone the extra mile in making sure all precautions are in place. So it's really, really impressive what they've done. Do you want me to talk about the campgrounds I'd recommend?
Yeah, let's do it. First night. So, we always tell our renters, be careful. Like the first night's it can be a little challenging if you haven't spent a night in a van and, like where does all the stuff go? Who unpacks what? Where do the kids go while I make the beds? So yeah, just hang in there for that first night. But where are you going to put us for our first beautiful night in our van?
Okay, so I would recommend, I've kind of got 3 different campgrounds that I think you should think about just because they're not the most well-known, but they're super gorgeous. One is Ida Creek, another is Johnny Creek, and the third is Bridge Creek. They're all on the Icicle River Valley. They're all on creeks. You're going to have the sound of beautiful water trickling outside. You're going to be able to camp, do all of your fun camping things. But you should not, hopefully, be on the superhighway. And because these are incredibly gorgeous areas, they can be populated. So, pro tip number 1, don't go on the weekend. Go midweek.
Yeah.
Very important. Start this midweek, so that you end up also not on the weekend.
Great.
Any of those are going to be awesome, gorgeous places to go. They all have little hiking trails near them. They'll be accessible to larger trails if you want. But that's where I'd send you night 1.
Great. So we spent a beautiful night listening to a babbling creek and we slept beautifully in our van and we wake up in the morning and we actually are sending our renters this year. You get to choose what kind of coffee you bring with you. Either a mocha pot, French press, espresso, or a pour over. So you've had your coffee and your breakfast, packed up your van, and you're hitting the road for day 2. Where would we go, Annette?
Okay. So I would send you down to Wenatchee first, just to get your blood a-flowing. And I've got a couple of ideas. One is outdoor, which is depending on the time of year you're traveling. Wenatchee is really special in that they have this completely accessible foothills trail system. You do need to make sure that you're going when the trails are open, and that is kind of spring through fall. They close down in off-peak season for deer migration, but there's a ton of different trails, very accessible with your peace van. You can hike or you can bike. If you want to do something a little different, Wenatchee, a secret amongst a lot of folks, is home to an amazing indoor rock climbing gym where they have gear rentals. They do lessons. It could be something just different to do with your group if that's not your cup of tea outdoors.
Right. Or if it's, a Washington rainy day, although it's a little drier over there, but still.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just nice to know that they're there, super friendly, super safe, both with your, climbing practices and of course with COVID. Okay, so that's your Wenatchee stop first thing in the morning.
Love it.
Oh, and have lunch at the Pybus Public Market. It's awesome. And then you're going to head up towards Lake Chelan. Depending on the time of the year, you might go do a quick cannonball into the lake. And
where would we do that? Where's the best spot to just have a quick cannon? Because there's nothing better than the spontaneous quick family jump into the lake. Like, where do you go for that? Is there such a thing?
Oh yeah. So any of the state parks or even the city park So there is a state park that is accessible right as you're driving into town by the Lakeshore Lodge. You do need to I'm not sure if you have to pay to park there or not, but you can literally go, and that's not really a cannonball. That's like a run fast through dive situation.
Sure.
But if you really,
Yeah,
you go to the other side of the lake to the city park where you do need to pay to park, but there is a dock that you can literally run down and have that classic cannonball moment. It's
nice.
off the byway, but only by like 5 minutes. So
Right. So free T-shirt to the renter that sends us the best video of a cannonball from this summer.
yeah, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we've jumped in magical Lake Chelan.
Oh, and buy wine while you're there. Not that I'm saying you have to drink beer one night and beer and wine next, but if you're that kind of person, some of us are.
Yeah. Traveling with the kids. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Hey, I'm not going to take this kind of judgment.
I'm a parent. It's okay. You know.
Okay. All right. So now you've had your kind of your fun in Lake Chelan. Then you're going to head up towards to the Methow Valley. And I would say before you turn up to the Methow Valley, stop at Pateras, fuel up if you need to. They too have a fantastic bakery there, the Sweet River Bakery. I always do. So there you go. Yep. Head on up towards the town of Twisp. And this is where you're going to start making some decisions about where you're going to stay. I've got an idea for camping closer to Twisp. I have an idea for camping closer to Winthrop, and then one for Mazama. Great.
Let's go through those.
Okay. So by Twisp, there is a campground called the Black Pine Lake Campground. It's absolutely gorgeous. You do have to drive, I don't know, 10 or so miles off the roadway. A lot of these campgrounds you might have to drive, but you're in a cool van. So
yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah.
And Black Pine Lake is absolutely gorgeous. I think far fewer people camp there than some of the other sites. So if you're looking for more of that type of experience, that could be great. Twisp, if you don't know it, is such a cool little town. It is fun, full of artists, great food, Glover Street Market, Cinnamon Twist Bakery. You can see there's a food theme going on here. You're going to eat well.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Like, we love when people, cook in their vans and camp out. But on the Cascade Loop, there's so much good food.
There is.
And it's extremely tempting to just be like, ooh, we want a little like charcuterie plate in town. And then we'll go to our campsite and maybe have s'mores.
Oh, yeah. Well, and a lot of these places, they're going to be perfectly suited to taking to your camp. I mean, you can certainly eat there, but a lot of these things are going to be very well suited to, your little picnic at camp.
Yum.
Okay, so that was the suggestion for Twisp.
Then Winthrop.
Right outside of Winthrop is a lake. You go past Winthrop, and it's called Peregrine Lake. They have a state park there. There's also a resort that you could stay at there called Silverline Resort. There's also, I should back up, by Twisp, there is an Riverside RV park by Twisp if you didn't want to take the drive to Black Pine Lake, but it is right off the roadway. But Peregrine Lake, again, it's got a larger place to spread out. It's a totally different vibe. Black Pine Lake is going to be like lots of trees. You're high in the mountains. Peregrine Lake is going to be more of that kind of high alpine desert that you see through the Methow Valley. So whatever floats your boat. Mm-hmm. Winthrop speaks for itself,
Yeah, I mean, Winthrop's got this sort of like old, it's almost like it feels like an old country western town in a little way to me when I go through it.
Well, they've done their work then. What they actually did, they went, just a quick sidebar. They, the people of Winthrop, they didn't say, oh, let's make up a theme that's cool. They actually looked at their historical photos of Winthrop from turn of the century in the early 1900s and said, let's see if we can take ourselves back to how we were. So it's actually pretty authentic, so it's fun factoid. Yeah.
And then Mazama is, which just, for those of us in Seattle, Mazama just kind of has this just ring to it. It's for me personally, it's like destination place I always want to spend time in.
Mazama is awesome. It's absolutely beautiful. The campground, there's going to be a lot of different options through here, so I'm just throwing out some, but the one that's closest to a couple of the things that I'm going to recommend is called Early Winters Campground. So it's right down in the heart of Mazama. It's close to the Freestone Inn, which has great food. But Mazama is also home to the Mazama Country Store.
Yeah, talk to me about the Mazama Country Store.
It is amazing.
I
Like,
know. Yeah.
if you want to do some shopping, hit this place. It's super
Yeah.
cool. And right next to the Mazama Country Store is the Goat's Beard outfitting shop. Both of those places are amazing places to shop, but Goat's Beard also has rentals. So if you want to rent a mountain bike, if you want to rent climbing gear, if you need a sleeping bag, if something happened, so it's a way to get out and do some different things. Met House Cycle and Sport is on your way to the campground. So if you wanted to rent bikes, or I'm not sure what all they have there. I think they might also have paddle boards.
Yeah. Yeah. This year, we're also going to have a private campsite for our renters in Mazama that is about a mile walk from the country store. So yeah, it's really just, we've curated these series of private campsites on a bunch of our itineraries, and it's a way to have kind of a private camping experience. And we're really excited about this one. But the state parks are also great options too.
Yeah.
So we're in Mazama. Now we wake up in the morning, we start to climb up into the North Cascades. Is that right?
Yep. So, I mean, through all of this, obviously, have your camera, also known as your phone, like locked and loaded, because there's so many scenic stops. But really, when you wake up that morning, be fully charged, because you're going to hit it right out of the gates with Liberty Bell Mountain is going to be one of the first things that you see from the roadway. If you have not seen it, you're literally going to your jaw is going to hit the floor, because it's wild. I don't know why more people don't know about it. So I'm here to tell you about it. It's really amazing. And there is, so you'll see it from the roadway, and there are pull-offs where you can safely get really cool shots. But then once you've done that, you're going to go around this kind of hairpin turn that climbs way up to the Washington Pass Overlook, which this isn't a camping stop, but you do want to stop there. There's a tiny little walk. It's like a quarter of a mile. It's fully accessible. But you're going to get amazing shots and selfies or whatever is your thing of Liberty Bell and just the entire Mazama Methow Valley corridor. That horseshoe valley is just wild.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to stop there.
And is it true that going the direction we're describing, you get the best views as you drive?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if folks want to loop clockwise, go for it. But if you want the easiest way to access the best views and not miss something, go counterclockwise. We hear from folks sometimes when they go clockwise, and they're like, "I couldn't find the Diablo Lake Overlook. I couldn't find Washington Pass."
Right.
No.
Right.
Go counterclockwise.
Great. So we're climbing through the mountains. What do they call the North Cascades? The American Alps, and is it just a beautiful day of sightseeing moving through that route?
Yeah, and you could certainly get out and do some hiking. We're going to recommend some camping stops in the North Cascades, but before you get to your camping stop, you're going to see more of these kind of pullovers that are going to just blow your mind. Ross Lake and Diablo Lake overlooks. Those lakes are so unusually turquoise colors that I literally have gotten calls from people saying, "When are they putting the pills in the lake?" They're colorizing the lake. I'm telling you, it's from glacial silt. As we believe it or not, the North Cascades National Park is the most glaciated park outside of Alaska.
Wow.
The U.S. So it's pretty cool, and that's why the water looks like that. So you're going to want to stop there, do your sightseeing, and then make your way to your campsites.
So where are we going to spend our third night, Annette? Okay. We're getting to be good friends right now, traveling, you and I together.
That's right. And it's not because of the growler and the wine. It's just because.
Right, or the spirits tonight. We scored some spirits down in the Methel Valley.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think there's some distillers. Yeah.
Yeah, Copper Glance is a great place to go.
Yeah.
How dare I not mention that?
Yes. Okay. So where are we spending our third night? Up in the mountains?
So yes, you're going to be in the North Cascades National Park. It's really cool that it is a national park, but you don't have to pay an entrance fee, which is unheard of. So that's super cool. But I'm going to give you a choice of 3. No, I'm going to give you 2 to choose from. Colonial Creek Campground is at their south campground, is going to put you down right at the water's edge of Diablo Lake. So if you want to be close to that gorgeous water that I was just talking about, that's a great place to do it. Another option is going to be, is it Goodall? Yeah, Goodall Creek is what I was thinking of.
Goodall Creek.
It's totally different, and even though you're very close, but you're going to be in really old growth forest and on a creek side. So just kind of whatever your spiel is, what you prefer. Those are the 2 that I would recommend. There are several national park campgrounds that you can choose from, but those were the ones that I mentioned today.
Great. So we have a great night. Maybe we're down at Diablo Lake and wake up in the morning, have our coffee again, our breakfast. Now we're on our last full day and headed towards our last night. Where are we going?
Okay. Well, your ultimate destination where you're going to stay, and this was hard for me because there are fantastic places where you can stay in the Skagit Valley, and there's fantastic places where you can stay on Whidbey Island. But
who won?
For purposes of this, I'm having people stay on Whidbey just because I know they need to ferry off in the morning.
Yeah, it's a little more convenient.
Yeah. So you're gonna but there are really good places in Skagit Valley.
In the Skagit Valley, there's so much going on there right now. Food, drink related, Yeah,
no, their culinary scene is just, it's wild.
Yeah.
And you definitely have to hit that on your way to the island. But let's back up. You're leaving the national park. There are some things that you're going to want to see on your way. You want to stop at the Gorge Lake Overlook because that's just beautiful. You're going to want to stop in New Halem up in the North Cascades because they have the Trail of the Cedars, which is a really kind of a short 1 or 2 mile walk, but it's gorgeous through old growth forest. They've got Ladder Creek Falls, provisions to stock up on. So don't miss those things. Then you're going to head down to you're going to go to Concrete, which is it's a funky little town.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
For the North Cascades Highway. You're going to make your way down through. You might stop at Cedro Woolley. They've got amazing stuff going on with tap rooms and really great food being prepared there that you could load up on, put in your van. Depending on the time of year that you go through the Skagit Valley, you may or may not see flowers in bloom. Right now we have daffodils. Next month it'll be tulips. But then if you're like in the height of summer, produce is grown through those fields. And I am not joking when I say fields of cabbages like that are cool. Like you will go through there and you will see acres of food, and it's kind of mind-blowing.
It's kind of cool. Yeah.
So cool. Heritage barns. Don't forget to stop at the stands that sell you oysters, clams, all the things that you want to take to your campsite that night.
Yeah.
Taylor Shellfish Farms. The blue snow goose. Sorry. I went through all my birds. And load up. And then you're going to head across Deception Pass Bridge.
Classic.
Very classic. One of the photographed places in our state. And close to one of the places that I will recommend that you might stay at.
Yeah. And that fourth night, where are we going to stay the fourth night? This is our final night. We're down to our last half bottle of spirits and, last dregs of our growler, and the kids everyone's needing a shower, but we're going to tough it out a fourth night.
Okay. So Whidbey has got amazing parks. One that you might think about is Deception Pass State Park. It's right past the bridge, super convenient, great photo ops, beautiful old growth forest, beach access. Another option is Fort Casey State Park. It's got a lighthouse on it, Admiralty Head Lighthouse. It's got an old military bunker installation. I mean, it's really unusual and super historic. What I will tell you, if you choose one of these two, is those two are going to be fairly popular.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to, I mean, they're all going to be fairly popular, but
Yeah.
if you want that same vibe as Fort Casey, for example, you might go to Fort Eby State Park, which is also very popular, but it doesn't have a lighthouse, so it may not have quite as many folks fighting to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll also have another private campsite on Whidbey for our renters too. So check in with us, partnering with a winery to carve out a few sites in their acreage and their vineyard. So hopefully we'll have that online this summer for people to have a slightly different experience. So we've had our fourth night. Any like, what's your one tip on Whidbey? Like one, if you could pick one thing on Whidbey to steer folks to, what would that be?
Mussels.
Mussels. Yeah. So it's mussels over clams.
Oh no, you need mussels and clams. Clams, mussels.
Oh, mussels and clams. Sure. Everything.
But if you had to choose, like, you can't be at the home of Penn Cove and not have Penn Cove.
True. That's right. I forgot Penn Cove is there. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I forgot. Yeah.
So like the small town of Coopville is right on Penn Cove. There's a ton of places you can go out and have, a nice meal.
Yeah.
But you can also pop in and buy freshly harvested Penn Cove mussels in one of their shops, take them back to your campsite. They're super easy to make.
Yeah. It's nothing. A little bit of wine, a little bit of bread.
There you go.
Yeah. Perfect. So we wake up, we're accomplished. We've had our Peace Fans trip. It's the last morning. We just pack everything up. Kids are crying. Can't believe vacation's over. And then how far back to Seattle is that? That's like just a couple hours, not even.
It's a hop, skip, and a jump. You're gonna, you're definitely. There's gonna be some things that you still want to see on Whidbey though before you make your way off. So I'm not letting it that easy. You definitely have to stop at Green Bank Farm if it's not already on your itinerary. You need to go to the little town of Langley. So cute. Sometimes you can see whales right from their work.
Right there. Yeah.
But then you're just like a couple minutes from the ferry terminal at Clinton. And that ferry ride is only 20 minutes, takes you back to Mukilteo, where there's another a lighthouse, and a really cool park. The kids will super dig it. They can run all over the beach. And then you're just minutes away to Seattle. So
yeah, maybe like 20, 25 minutes from Mukilteo to Seattle, maybe a half hour. And then you get to drop your van off and say goodbye to us. And wow, that was like fantastic. Like, I know, like, I'll be transparent to the audience. We chatted and we talked about this, but that was so much fun. Like, I'm hoping my family was listening to get them enthused to do the Cascade Loop this year. It's a bit off the beaten path of most of our renter itineraries, but it's just like, this was probably the most enticing half hour I've spent in many weeks. Yay. So I think we might have some questions. So we'll take five more minutes to answer some questions. Do all the campgrounds require reservations? No, I mean, a lot of them are first come, first serve. Some of the popular ones like Deception Pass or the state parks will, but it's a very easy, website to explore and find your dates. But like Annette said, go midweek. The weekends are going to be packed. It is more challenging. Up in the North Cascades, there are some national forest sites, I think, that you can sort of find, your own campsite.
The national park campgrounds, I'll just pop in real quick.
Yeah.
There's a couple ways you can do it. One is if you really want to be at a specific park, do make reservations. Yeah. You can do them up to 6 months in advance with recreation.gov. And they do have some that have some first come, first serve access. And just look at each of their websites. If you Google the North Cascades National Park, if you go to cascadeloop.com in our camping section, either way, you'll be able to access information about those.
Yeah, and one of the reasons we've invested in private campsites, the two on this loop, Just to give you that sort of escape valve, and that if you can't find a site, you always know there's room at the inn, so to speak, at our little private campsites for you. So another question, so many hikes in Leavenworth. Do you have a favorite, easier hike to do in just a morning or afternoon? I'm sure you have a bevy of those, Annette.
I do.
Shocking.
Shock. So if you're wanting to do one that is very near to your campground, that will really deliver a lot, it is kind of popular, but if you go first thing in the morning, it's probably not going to be that crazy, I hope. The Icicle Gorge Trail is a loop up near all of those campgrounds. It's a 4.25 mile loop. It's flat to rolling, and you're going to cross like multiple different types of habitat. Environments change pretty radically on that loop, so it makes it really interesting. It's pet friendly. Obviously, have your dog on a leash or cat, whatever you might be walking. I've seen people with bird on a leash. So.
Oh yeah.
And I want to be that person, but
you can be. Next question.
Yeah. Oh, do you want the other option?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
One in town in Leavenworth too, which I think is important. Their Blackbird Island Riverfront Park loop is super accessible for everyone. It's beautiful. You're right on the river and close to Front Street.
Yeah. Next question, which van is best to take on the Cascade Loop? That's like which child is best to take on a vacation. They're all fantastic. We offer two different types of vans. It's interesting. The classic Volkswagens, they're just so much more fun to drive. The air conditioning is rolling down the window. You're forced to go slow over the mountain passes. And there's just a certain nostalgia to them. So if you have the patience and the desire for a nostalgic trip, there's going to be no better photograph for the Christmas card than your family with a backdrop of the North Cascades in a classic Volkswagen van. If you're feeling like you want to cover a lot more miles, and you want to see a lot more stuff and travel at a quicker pace, one of our little Mercedes vans is going to be a lot better. You will go over the passes at a reasonable speed. And you'll be able to just cover more ground. So any other questions? I think we have one more question. What is that? Oh, you want to take that one, Annette? We talked about this. Do you see it?
I do.
Yeah.
So Staheken is amazing, but here are the things to keep in mind. So for folks who don't know what Staheken is, it is a totally off the grid, really small community that's located way at the head of Lake Chelan. So there are only a few ways to get there. One is to take a ferry, which does not take vehicles. So you can do a day trip where you go up and back. You can take the Lady of the Lake Express up and then the Lady of the Lake back. This little area is absolutely amazing. There is a national park lodge up there. There's also Staheken Valley Ranch, which is a privately owned ranch that is also a place where you could stay if you were wanting to not just do a day trip. You can do electric bike rentals, regular bike rentals. They do guided fishing, guided kayaking, take you to see petroglyphs that you can't get to unless somebody up there will take you to them who knows where they are. It's a really special place. There's not cell reception. You're not going to be working up here. Hopefully you're not working in your van. Hopefully you're not working at all. But it's something that you just need to know going in. But so Staheken is an amazing place to add to your trip, but it's not as you do need to plan for it. And so if you're going to spend the night, you do need to make sure you have a place to park your van. Yeah. And make those arrangements. So if you can make it happen, I say 100% do it. If you can make a trip on the Lady of the Lake happen, 100% do it. It's just cool and fun.
Yeah. Great. All right. Well, we are out of time. Those of you that might have joined midstream or towards the end, this has been recorded. We're going to put it up on our website. We'll find a way to share it with Annette and her group. But Annette, I just genuinely want to thank you. Like, this was so much fun. I know I said it a few minutes ago, but taking a virtual tour just got me so excited for the spring and summer season. We're just kicking it off in April with spring break, and Just being able to go to these lesser traveled spots is really a privilege. So thanks for sharing your just depth of knowledge with us. I encourage everyone to visit your website, which is, what is it, cascadeloop.org or?
It's cascadeloop.com.
.com. Great. Yeah, visit cascadeloop.com. I think you have a downloadable version of your stuff on there.
We do.
Yeah, and we'll have hard copies here in the shop when you pick up your rental. So Annette, thank you again so much. Really a privilege to hang out, and hope to see you on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope, everybody go out, have an awesome travel season. Really careful. Please be safe. Make good decisions.
And follow the rules. Like last year, we've talked about this. Last year was a little harsh on the environment. So if you have questions or not sure how to recreate responsibly, just check in with us and check in with Annette and her team. We'll give you all the tips on how to manage trash or remote bathroom access or dispose of things. We have all those resources for you.
Road tripping with COVID, not
yes.
COVID.
Right. We understand. Yeah, there's an Oxford comma in there. I think that would make that make sense. Yep. All right.
Lots of tips on all of that.
Great. All right, Annette. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks. You too. Thanks for letting me be here.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining.